for them to start their topic. So my topic is how I made 1.1K in a week and the work challenge. But I also want to take you on a journey of what happened. And so for those of you that have looked at my description of this room on Clubhouse, it is describing the fact that I ended 2020 with a car repossession and $18 in my account. So if we go along the journey, I started the year 2020 with being a full-time hairstylist. I was in the room, probably on the salon floor, 50 hours a week, most days, most weeks, most times. And I was climbing up the ladder at the place that I was working at. And I went on vacation to Las Vegas for the month of March. It's my birthday month, and I was in Vegas and the pandemic hit and Vegas was being shut down while I was there. Crazy, right? I was like, okay, so I'm scared. I need to drive back home. And I drove back home to find out that I no longer had a job, because in California, our governor decided that we were not going to be able to service people anymore. So I was not prepared. Like I said, I'm going to be very, very transparent in this talk. I was not prepared. I didn't have that much savings. I had a few accounts that I couldn't touch without penalties as far as money. So I didn't know what I was going to do to pay just even my regular day-to-day bills past a month. So one of the things that I did was talk to my car company, and they had a program where you could delay payments. I didn't actually, and I'm going to be talking about a lot of mistakes that I made as well. I didn't actually make sure, because I did it over the phone and it was electronic payments. I didn't make sure that I knew when those next payments were going to be coming, the delayed payments, right? So they said you can do 2 months. And I needed it. I needed March and April to not be a thing so that I could recover or figure out what I was going to do or get unemployment. Well, I found out later that those payments were going to come up a little bit quicker than I expected. So I had to pivot. I could no longer be doing hair. So I pivoted my business back to being solely online, which I had kind of taken a break from, to be honest, because I was consumed with being a colorist and I didn't really think about my YouTube channel, although I am a grandfathered in YouTuber. And what that means is, before they made the system that they have now with watch hours, my channel functions off of the older videos that I have that are over 15K views. So I get a small check from YouTube, but it's nothing really to write home about. So I started making more videos for content creators, because it's my passion. I started making videos for creatives. I started talking about creative depression, and then I went live with a few friends every couple of nights a week. People would donate money to us for helping them with their business or their life. Sometimes we would prophesy. And so I just started to see a lot more donations coming in for what I was building and doing. And that's what I was doing all the way up until around September. Now, when September hit, I realized that my car company was now sending me notices that they were doubling up my payments for the next 2 months, and I was going to have to pay double my regular note, and that would put me at that point 4 months behind. So that was crazy to me, because I was not expecting for that to be the case. I was not expecting for there to be double payments, and I was speedily trying to garner funds to be able to even just pay the one note, right? Because I did not have a consistent way that people were paying me for the content I was producing. It was just solely based on more so donations and one-on-one consultations that I was doing. So I consult church planters and ministry, itinerant ministers, people like that often, and they were just paying me, $180 here, which is my rate for an hour of creative consultation for them. I do assimilation consultations for them as well, how to welcome people into your ministry and get them assimilated into the body of Christ, that type of thing. So I had some of that going on, and then I took on a project with another individual. Now this individual I trusted. I didn't have a direct contract with them about when they were going to pay me or how they were going to pay me, right? I just did the project with them, and guess what? They never paid me. It was very disappointing. It also caused a lot of stress. And so if you've been watching my channel, I also lost all of my hair. It was falling out, so I just had to shave the rest of it off, because at this point I felt like, where is my money? What is happening? I'm working for free, or I'm doing consultations, or I'm putting things out there, and then people are not following through with me. But also, I wasn't communicating my value, and I wasn't making sure that my invoices were going to be paid based on the timidity that I was suffering from, because I was unsure and doubtful about whether I could do this at the time. Just to be completely honest, I really didn't like the interaction that I would have to have with other people regarding funds, and them questioning why I would charge what I would charge, even though I've had years and over a decade worth of experience and proof. Receipts, baby. I got receipts to show what I've done creatively and results that I have garnered over the years. So as I continued in this journey, probably around October, I was negotiating with my car company. I was giving them $100 a week, trying to catch up, trying to like pay this down, but they kept adding fees, right? So when December, if we fast forward to December, when December hit, I also had a mentorship group called Preach Princess. It was widely successful. My lives on IG were very poppin', large views, people contacted me about it. I did a whole photo shoot for it and everything, but because of the amount of stress that was on my body and my mind, I kind of started to shut down and was unable to produce any content there or even help people in a certain way, because my God, today I was just breaking down internally. December 30th, they came and got my car at 3 a.m. Oh, by the way, I had moved back in with my parents during the pandemic, which I hadn't lived with them for 14 years. But like for me, that wasn't a point of shame. That was a point of like, this is the wisest decision to make it through this situation. And I've actually been having a great time with my parents in this time. And I had been on my own since I was 19, 20 years old. So being back with them gave me a safe haven to kind of not have to worry about things. But having my car picked up at 3 a.m. from their house was probably one of the lowest moments that I had. And I'm like, I couldn't make it out of 2020 with my car, like my precious car that I took so much care of. Like I couldn't do it on my own. And I spent New Year's in bed crying and very sad. It was not a good time for me. I felt very depleted. I felt like a failure of an entrepreneur. I felt like I don't even want to do this anymore. I'll just collect unemployment and I will find a regular job. I'll just work at Trader Joe's. They're hiring people. I know that probably sounds funny, but it's like, no, I'll just be an essential worker. And I really quit on myself. I gave up. I was frustrated. I was sad. I just didn't know how to necessarily recover. And so let's get to the good parts, okay? So I spent the first week of January just kind of down, and then I just decided to like sit in the presence of the Lord, right? So I'm like, Jesus, you're gonna give me a way out of no way. You are going to be a way in this wilderness. I know you are, and I know you have been. You've always showed up for me. And so then I started doing outfit of the days. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, how did that inspire you? Outfit of the day? Like, that's just so very influencer. And for me, it was pulling on a part of me that in my early 20s, I went to school for fashion design. I'm like, this is just fun. I need something fun. I need something original. I need something that I won't be pressured about. It's just going to be something that gives me joy. I'm going to create content from a pure place of just wanting to create. And so as I did that, people actually started to really love it, right? Like, okay, my engagement was up. My reach started to go way broader, way wider, right? And God just started to give me more ideas about my brand, which on Instagram and everywhere is Bossy Behavior. So he's like, talk about the behaviors that instill you being a boss or becoming a boss. And that's what I've always done. I've matched my spirituality, which is Christianity, with the business world for many, many years, and soul care. So I started talking about that more, and I got this opportunity to join a program. It's called Proven with Monica Stockhausen. It is also a 3K program, okay? It is worth every penny. One of my friends who went through it, she put in 3K and her launch was through $37,549, I believe, from her first cohort launch, right? And so I'm like, I really want to do this program. I'm not really sure where I'm going to get the 3K, but I mean, she said you got payment plans, so I'm just going to have to work it. Now, that statement within itself sparked a memory in me of, oh my gosh, like I had a book called The Work Challenge. Like, I need to go look at that. And then followed by, I was in a clubhouse room of this really great other entrepreneur. Her name is Lisa Knox. She does Dream Doer Lisa on Instagram, and it is dreamdoernation.com. And so she was doing clubhouse rooms. I was in the clubhouse room, and she started talking about you could create your ebook cover and take pre-orders and put the day that the book launches. And if you put the day that the book launches, then people will be inspired to purchase the book and kind of be waiting for it, right? And so she was she was really inspiring me because I'm like, okay, I already got this book. So I've worked it. I've totally worked that. And I can, put it out new. I can write a new copy of it because only 2 people bought it the first time around years ago, like 5 years ago. I can launch the program again. Like, it can be so much going on for that it'll be amazing. Then I started to talk to people around me kind of about things that I did again, right? So for those of you that haven't been following me for any extended period of time, I have had many different businesses on the internet, and some of them were successful, but I stopped doing them because of my own insecurities, or I just didn't feel like it, or client issues. I just would be annoyed, right? I would just be like, ugh, like I hate dealing with graphic clients, even though I had an a la carte graphic design company from a long time ago. And I didn't even like close that out properly. Just to be honest, I just stopped doing it. I stopped taking clients because I was frustrated in that season. And so I realized in that season that my emotions were ruling how I was running my business, and I only stayed in consultations. But this week in particular, people just kept coming to me about different things. So I'm going to break down now how I made the 1.1K, which is not including donations that I receive, because I typically do end up getting donations for my creating content, which I will break down probably in another clubhouse room, because I know that a lot of micro influencers don't talk about that, but it's a huge part of what I've always done. So the first thing that I did was I had a house call for hair. So if you're a stylist and you're listening to the podcast or you're watching on YouTube, even though we're in a pandemic, one-on-one and with the right sterilization and making sure that you are masked and gloved, or whatever that looks like in your state, is very much possible. I don't charge anything less than $100 for a house call, even on a haircut. So that is something that's just proof positive that you need to do, is set your price for your house call and then your services on top of that. That will really help you. I also sold one of the ladies that's in here. Shout out to Shakara. She's having a conference, Inside Out. It's in May. I also sold 20 copies of my book through her to her conference for her workshops. It's a part of the giveaway, but she ordered those. She wants to come up, so I'm going to let her hit the stage. Hey, Shakara, what's up? Okay, cool. So, after that, she's also one of my original clients from Overlaid was the company. It was a graphic design a la carte company for influencers and creatives, right? Basically, you can order different graphics for your company, and I would design them for you, make stories, different things like that, all surrounded around social media. Then outside of that, for the pre-orders of the book, I also sold 25 more copies, right? And I've been posting about it every day. So every day I've been getting a few orders here and there from different people on the internet. Then on top of that, I also did a graphic design package for a conference with edits and a logo. And that pretty much sums up how I got to the 1.1K, because of me just pushing and working what I needed to have out there and continually posting. Now, when it comes to the donation part, because I do want to talk about that a little bit, I receive donations for the outfits that I wear or the content that I'm creating that helps people. So people donate in, or they donate towards a cosmetic product that they want to see me review. If you want to see me try a face serum or a palette or whatever that may be. So in donation wise, I think it was $325 between Cash App and PayPal, with direct people that were donating to me creating the content that they want to see, right? So that's always available. Here's the other thing that I feel like is important for me to say regarding this is that I have so many avenues that people were paying me in, but none of them being set up properly yet. I'm just going to be honest and real, okay? So my website doesn't have my blog up. My website doesn't have my donation links. My website doesn't have my consultations. I don't even have the page where I do graphic design set up or influencer packages set up fully. This was just for me being confident in my sales and actually creating the work that people wanted to see and what people wanted to give into, right? So this goal that I have this week is to set up more of those spaces, because if people are calling for me when I'm not even presenting what I can do, what's going to happen when I have the proper channels set up? I think it's a huge thing when it comes to entrepreneurship is that we're always waiting for a place or a way or a kind of a series of events that look perfect, right? So photo shoot, website, products up, everything looking perfect, and then they'll come. What I learned this week is that even in the depths of me quitting on myself and just doing something that was fun, that pulled me up, and me saying, okay, I'll give myself another chance. Like, I will give myself another chance to actually be who God called me to be. I will give myself another chance in entrepreneurship. I won't let the loss of my car kill me. I won't let the loss of relationship kill me. I won't let the loss of my own confidence and self-esteem kill me to the point that I won't remember my identity in God. And so I think that for the work challenge, it is something that I wrote many years ago that ended up inspiring me, but I hope that it inspires you to get to work. Like, get up and get about your business and put in the time and energy that it takes to actually be prepared to do what you love anyways, right? For me, I didn't get into entrepreneurship to be miserable. I got into entrepreneurship because it's a calling, for one, and secondly, so I could do what I love to do, right? I needed to create a space for me to see it, to believe it, and I believed it before I could see it, even though I wanted it the backwards way. So the whole point of this room tonight and the podcast is for you to get to work, and for me to share with you from week to week what I'm doing to get to work and what my results are. My reach has been because of my consistency, and without consistency, then there's a very difficult way of proving that you are actually producing what you say that you can produce. So I'm gonna stop talking for a second. I'm gonna let Shakara chime in, and anybody else that wants to come up, just raise your hand.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and do this with keep my eyes dry because so much you said today was just confirmation. I mean, it's been amazing for me. Starting out 2020, actually, I moved from California to Las Vegas, and it was definitely a God move. I won't tell the whole story as far as like where I was, but I was in Anaheim at the time, and I had to basically I had to move. I have five kids. My oldest is 10. My youngest is almost 20 months. And in the past, my dad had been really he'd been really flaky as far as helping me out. He would give me every excuse of why he couldn't help. And so this time when I called him, it was a few days prior to that. I was looking for I had a job in Anaheim, but I was looking for a place to move to it in that area, in the OT area. And the way I would need to have a car in order to get the kids to and from school and to be to work. It's like an hour drive. And so originally I was calling him for a car because I had recently got blessed with a few years ago got blessed with a car, and the car got repossessed because of me needing to get a loan out on the car to be able to manage everything else with the kids.
Wow.
So, all that happened, and last January, God told me to call my papa. My papa is 96 years old. He's been very healthy. He's very active. Like, he was in Hawaii last September, and he has plenty cars. And my dad also. Both of them have plenty cars. And so I was like, well, you know what? I have money saved. The time I had money saved, and I was going to come to Vegas. I figured this would be a good place for me to move to. It's going to be cheaper. The money I have saved will stretch longer. And I can, like, get a car from them, and be able to, like, reset my whole life. So my intention was to move to Vegas and to be able to get the kids in school and daycare and then get back to work. Well, everything happened as far as the shutdown. Like Liz said, came to Vegas and everything shut down. Same thing happened to me.
Wow.
And I came with the intention. I said, well, you know what? Even before the shutdown, I said, you know what? I'll go ahead and homeschool the kids for a few months, and that way they can start a charter school in the fall. Well, everything shut down to where I basically was forced to homeschool them. And that whole time, like, my money that I had saved was going down and down and down and down and down to where I'm like, now I have my storages I have to take care of, and they were taken. I applied for unemployment. I applied for the PUA. I applied for paid family leave as far as my daughter being less than a year old. Nothing came through. Absolutely nothing came through. So a few weeks ago, actually in January, I think it was 16th, I was on an event, which I studied. Her name is Liz. Her name, Bree.
Oh, Brene.
Thank you. See,
Yeah.
Renee, yeah. So I had found her on Instagram, and so it happened that Liz was actually one of the speakers there. And so while we were there, Liz, she was prophesying and sharing. And I known her, like she said, from years ago. She did start off doing, like, my design for my logo and all that, like, years ago. And I had not connected with her as far as, like, phone conversations. It's more like just likes, posts, or whatever else, like, here and there. But we had not really, like, had any kind of, like, real connection. So when she prophesied for me, the prophecy was so simple and so precise, but at the same time, it was what I needed for that time. And she prophesied, she said, Shakara, it's time for you to relaunch. God's the time for you to relaunch your woman empowerment. She's like, wow. Like, she's trying to figure out, what it was called. And so I was actually writing a book. I was writing a book, and I was debating at that time about including the process or the journey through WOW. It's called Believe. And either way, by her confirming that her prophesying that to me, it confirmed that I should add it in to the book as well as relaunch. So either way, when I was obedient to God, I got a text message. I had applied for unemployment in California. I applied here in Nevada, thinking because I was here during the pandemic that I would get it from here. But because I had worked a little bit in California, I should have applied there. So all these months of me waiting, barely making it, like literally getting like random child support checks in the mail, like $30 checks to get diapers and all that, was just like, where I was, I'm thankful and grateful that God was making a way. But when I relaunched, WOW, I got a text message from California saying that my case was approved.
Wow.
And I had waited, I'm telling you, I waited for months, all last year. I applied for California in December 26th. So the prophecy that Liz prophesied for me, it reignited me. It got me excited. Not only that, but Women of Wealth is really to remind women. That's what I'm trying to come together. It reminds women of their God-given visions, ideas, businesses, and anything God has told them to do, just to remind them that they can create wealth for their family and future. And so I got on the phone with Liz. I got on the phone with her, and I was talking about this event. I was relaunching. I decided to relaunch it. And I was saying, I know you're so talented in so many areas. Even before our conversation, I was praying, just asking God, like, what area do I want to have her be a part of at this conference for Women of Wealth? And we're talking every day, and she's like, oh, I have this book that I wrote a while ago. I'm like, oh, yeah, I can definitely do that. And because I had got the confirmation from my employment, I was able to get the 20 books. Now, I'm still waiting on the back pay, but I'm so grateful that I had at least the money that I had to be able to sow into her. God just put it on my heart to sow into her, sow into other business owners, so 10 different business owners. Maybe 12 now. And they all have a product, they all have service, because I knew during this whole pandemic that there was entrepreneurs that were depressed. They were, unencouraged. Like even for me, like I'm so used to doing live events that with this whole everything being shut down, it kind of like it was definitely a pivot. But the greater thing was, it was definitely a time to reflect. It was a time to get closer to God. It's a time to really press into what He asked us to do. And if you have the courage, if you have the confidence to do that, there's blessings on the other side of obedience. And so Liz is sharing her story tonight. I'm sharing my story. Like I just encourage everyone on here, absolutely, just if God's giving you, I actually invite you on this podcast called "Don't Ignore the Nudge." So if you give me a nudge, just go for it. Trust Him. Even with me writing out my book, I was supposed to be getting money from somebody else. They never paid me. They told me they don't owe me anything. It was over $600, and that was the money for me to get my books printed. So I didn't expect to get anything from unemployment. I just like, oh, well, I'll wait and see what happens. And literally, when I told them, I said, you know what, God sees all, God knows all, and He will make it to where I'm able to get what I need. Like I just trust Him. I'm not gonna even worry about this anymore. The next day, I got a text message saying that your case has been approved, your payments have already been set, and your card is being sent out. So thank you, Liz, for sharing tonight. I'm really excited for this event, and like she mentioned, yeah, she did the graphics for it. It's called Inside Out, and it's really allowing for women to be able to heal from past hurts, past trauma, even as far as childhood, and really be able to look as beautiful on the inside that they do on the outside. And it's going to be a variety of different speakers, different business owners that provide products. If you guys go to the link in my bio, I think it's on there, shakarknox.com, you can definitely get more information. The workshops are free, and there will be a partnership with each business owner where you're able to get both of our products for limits for a discounted price, as well as if you choose to do the for May the conference, you'll get the VIP box, which is including everyone's products. So check it out. You can connect with me either on Instagram or Facebook, and we'll talk more. But thank you guys for letting me come on and share my story, and just hopefully it encourages you just to step out on faith and just trust God through it all.
Yeah, Shakara. Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing. I didn't know that. Like, so see how God will set you up with the right connections, and you just have to be able to show up. To be honest, if you're listening on the podcast or you're watching on YouTube, I struggled to communicate my worth to Shakara, right? And God kept telling me, she's ready. I already spoke to her. You can do it. Just say what it is, right? And I think that for me, as confident as I may come off sometimes, and as go-getter as I can be, I had to believe that what God said about me was for me, and that if I put the work with the faith, right? Because faith without works is dead, then I could actually be in position to receive all God had for me, but actually be in a joyful and happy and experience with Him, doing the things that I love that actually pulls out other things in the people around me, right? And so if you're looking to start your business, if you're looking to get back on your feet for your business, if you're looking to try again, I just want to encourage you even now to look at it from the place of hope and not the place of despair. Despair often comes after entrepreneurs and convinces you that nothing is possible, but in actuality, everything is possible, and anything is possible with God. He takes the barren and gives them life to birth out of them. He's taken dry places and filled it up so that those that are hungry and thirsty can eat and drink. He is the provider of all providers. And sometimes as a Christian entrepreneur, there are gaps with us in believing that this thing is actually going to happen. And so you've heard two stories tonight on how God has came through and provided with the partnership of the individual being willing to be obedient. Obedience to what God is telling you to do in entrepreneurship is always going to be the defining factor that separates you from others in the pack, because what you're willing to lay down and your own self-sacrifice, what you're willing to give when most people would say don't give, right? In both of our stories, there are moments where people would have said, don't invest in yourself. Why would you sign up for a 3K program? Why would you spend money on outfits? Why would you take donations for things like that? Just focus on saving and getting a new car. Just focus on being able to prove to people that you're a successful adult. Just focus on proving to people that you can have your own place to live. No, God gave me specific designed preordained plans that he set up for this time in specifics. So for me, I had to follow the pieces of the puzzle that he was putting together and be willing to deny myself and my flesh of what I wanted to do versus what God wants to do for me and through me. So being an entrepreneur that has a faith-based belief system in Jesus means that even though things may not logically make sense on the outside, you have to submit to the combination of what natural knowledge he's given you, but allowing that natural knowledge to turn into supernatural effects in your life by being willing to follow his plan and do what he's called you to do, no matter what that may look like at the time. So I do want to open it up for people to come onto the stage. If you like to raise your hand, you can raise your hand, ask a question. You can ask us for advice or whatever, if you want to contribute to the conversation. I do want to remind you that this is